I will talk a little bit about wood in our lives, and maybe this will be the only slide or the only slide that you will like for my presentation. Don't worry, I got criticized in other places as well. So we have wood is ubiquitous. It's everywhere in our lives. And some products, the traditional one, we see it. It's measurable. It's quantifiable. That's easy. We can explain it. It's there. Logs, lumber, also sort of structural panels. This table here, whatever we have here, yeah. Furniture, pulp, paper, our toilet paper, and other tissues that we use are there, coming from there. A lot of packaging we order online. It comes in. Usually, it's being delivered in something of cardboard or something there. So we have the energy wood, yeah. Very, very, very critical issue nowadays, and that's something that it's easy to explain and to justify as a forester when somebody goes, why do you cut trees? Why do you cut trees? To provide mainly that. And that's something because I tell those because it's easy, people can see them around. But then if you go into wood components, and Alex mentioned lignocellulose, yes. Cellulose is the most abundant organic polymer in the world. Say it again. The most abundant organic polymer in the world. In the first year of faculty, I had a course, I hated it, biochemistry. I was not understanding why the heck me as a forester do I need to study biochemistry and Krebs cycle and all kind of stuff and compose. And I remember we were 7 students out of 180 who passed the exam. I carried 20 years later, you can see it had an impact on me. And,
were you among the 7?
I was among those happy accident maybe. But starting from the wood components, I go to this kind of product. This list here, which it's present in our life, but we don't see usually. Did you take a shower? Did you wash your hair? Did you do your nails? Did you eat a bio yogurt? Did you have fancy lingerie on you? Did you have, I don't know, whatever? Do you have an LCD screen in your homes? Do you have biofuels, I don't know, around or looking for them and demand the energy companies to come up with more biofuels and stuff like that? It's starting and it's based on wood components. A lot of things in our lives. Cigarette filters, some people are smoking outside. Contain products based on wood. Components of the wood in different sort of chemical ways. Or you find fancy names there, microcrystalline cellulose. Very much used for those who use pills when they have a diabetes. Or if you go to the doctor because we stay so much in front of the screen and we get, oh, I need to get some eye drops in my eyes. Those contain cellulose. It's based on that. Comes there. Why? Because it's an inert product which carries on all other kinds of substances and it's being tolerated by the body and it's being processed and eliminated easily by the body. So wood is in our lives almost everywhere. That's why it's great that you are planting. And I can help in planting sometimes because we will need wood more and more and more. That's the number one thing. There is a nice book, I mentioned it here, written by Hans Rosling. There he presents basically what the United Nations forecasted as the population growth, and he measures there the pin of the world, which is nowadays like 1.4 at that time of when he wrote the book, meaning that there was 1 billion people living in Americas, 1 billion people plus minus live in Europe and Russia, 1 billion in Africa, and then 4 billion live in Asia. In 40, 50 years from now, the new pin of the world will be 1.145, meaning that Americas will still have 1 billion people, Europe will still have 1 billion people, because we have our demographic crisis. Africa will jump from 1 to 4, and Asia will add maybe 1 from 4 to 5. So there is a lot of thinking that we need to put into there, especially in terms when we consider the climate change, where it happens, how it happens. You mentioned Spain. I don't know what was in the northern part of across the Gibraltar. Yeah, what was there if Spain was burning? I live nowadays in Helsinki. This summer we had there 3 days of rain. 3 days of rain. Only 3 days of rain. In the end of August, this was the color of the nature, of the grass, of the trees, and everything.
In Helsinki.
In Helsinki.
Imagine.
60 degrees north latitude, yeah? Just for you to understand. I come down to Romania, because it's the country I love, and we have a forest sector sum up. Myself, I work a lot in the business sector. I'm a consultant. I'm involved in all sorts of projects, also with Laura in this National Forest Strategy. We have a fantastic resource here. We have as much wood in Romania as Finland has. We have only 7 million hectares, Finland has 23. We have as much wood, almost as much wood as Poland has, and we have as much wood as our neighbors from the west, former Yugoslavia, plus Hungary, plus Albania together. They have as much woody biomass standing and growing as we have. They all harvest more than us. They all, especially the Finns, they started really integrated into the bioeconomy that we talk about bit by bit into circular bioeconomy. Not easy, it's not happening like that either. And just for you to take home, to understand a little bit what the forest sector means for the economy. It's a critical sector, especially in the rural areas, where we have a lot of the population. Romania is the country with the largest share of rural population in the EU. And those people are, some communities even critically dependent on firewood. We like it or not, here in the city, we don't recognize it, we don't see it. When we go back to our grandparents, just easy, go and bring the wood from outside and put it in the stove. That's the reality. The sector is not so small anymore. Last year was the best year ever, close to 9 billion euros turnover, because mainly the US market demanded a lot of lumber. So we produced a lot of lumber and we exported, we capitalized on that to some extent, not as much as others. I tell you that last year we still harvested the largest volume ever in the past 30 years. Not ever, in the past 30 years. So we reached almost 20 million cubic meters harvest out of an estimated growth of 58 million. Yeah? We still missed the train. Finland, last year, based on the liberal legislation they have, the possibility of the forest owners to decide what they do with their resource and when they do it, jumped from 65 million cubic meters, their average harvest, to 90 million cubic meters, out of a growth of 105, in order to reach the demand and to meet the demand of the US market. Finland, a green country, sustainable country, happiest people in the world, jumped from 65 to 90 million just to meet the demand, to make the buck. Make the money, capitalize the moment, and now they can say, hey, market is down. This year we cut only 50. That was the moment, that was the train, jump into it, that's it. We did not do that. Because we have so restrictive, so normative legislation that by the time we start thinking, the train is gone. And train se fue. So that's the thing, unfortunately. But you see, it's still an important sector for Romania, contributing to the GDP, together with furniture, about 3.5%. It's a net contributor to the trade balance of Romania. It generates pluses in the trade balance of Romania. Only a few sectors in Romania do this. And still, with all this happening, we still have a lot of Natura 2000, and we still have a lot of certified forest, mainly FSC. These things change all the time, these numbers from year to year. This is just a snapshot, yeah? And you can see, lots of people employed, plus minus 150,000. Only in this, directly working with wood. And then horizontally, vertically, they all employ more people. In all those rural areas I mentioned, the guys working in the woods are the sole providers for their families. Most of their wives are unemployed, raising kids at home, taking care of the little farm or whatever land they have there, and the husband is usually the only bringer of money in the family. So that's an important aspect that we need to understand. Current constraints. Romania stands alone in Europe in terms of how difficult we make it for ourselves. We have, of course, some, let's say, inheritance. The private ownership of the forest is so split, so scattered, so difficult to manage in many respects. You mentioned Mărșani, the plantation there. 2006, 2007, I was an international team establishing association of small local forest owners in Romania. Mărșani was one of the target areas. That was a success story. I was in charge of another area nearby, Orăștie. Meetings like this with like 200, 300 people, new forest owners, guys who just got back their land. People who were there 60s, 70s, 80s, they were shouting on the sit-down saying, "You communists, you tell us to put together our land, we just got it back." So I was trying to explain, if you have half a hectare, a stripe, 5 meters long, and 100 meters or 1,000 meters wide, 5 meters wide and 1,000 meters long, you will never be able to manage the forest. You will never be able to get anything out of it. The tractor cannot turn. You will not get it there. I was 26 years old. I was being accused of being the biggest communist in the area. So that's it. No problem with that. They established an association, a private forest district there. They started managing things, but it's not easy. That's a big given for the Romanian forest sector. More than 700,000 private forest owners. Most of them have no idea where the forest is. State is extremely strong, centralized, powerful, wants to control, try to preserve the status quo. I was discussing in the break. It's done, the system is done so that whatever you want to do somewhere, I don't know, in Comunești, you still need to reach Bucharest to knock a door, open a cup, get some papers signed here. And that's a big issue. This centralized system, it's affecting us. Legislation, I consider it to be the most restrictive in Europe in terms of environment and forestry. I think there are more than 300 pieces of law and more than 3,500 pages, printed pages of law regulating forestry and environment, which make, even for those who love environment and want to protect it, things, they make their lives a misery, and you try to sort out things, and there is always something conflicting, killing your initiative. And that's a big issue. We need to simplify this law. Forest infrastructure, again, we're lagging behind, big time lagging behind. All the time we are compared to Bulgaria, Romania, Bulgaria, last and before last in Europe. Even Bulgaria has more forest roads than Romania, per hectare, if you imagine. And that says it all, but that translates into big costs which go all the way in the value chain. Because if you cannot access the forest, and you have to drag wood more than a kilometer, sometimes through the rivers, sometimes damaging 20, 30, 50 trees on the way. And then you have another forest road, which breaks the truck on the way. And then you reach and you transfer that cost to the sawmill. You bring all those muddy logs full of mud and stones and something, and you break the blades, and there is adding cost to the other company, to the other company. At the end of the day, we come up with products which are 40, 50, 100% more expensive than done in the same area, like in Poland or in Hungary or in Bulgaria or in Serbia and Croatia, and then we're out of the market. And at the end of the day, no money, no honey. So that's something that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, we have missed the opportunity to address it with proper funding in the past 30 years. Even the National Plan for Recovery and Resilience had missed to allocate this funding for this sector. We requested 200 million from the Commission to dedicate it to the harvesting sector, explaining to them that every year in Romania between 1 and 2 million cubic meters of wood are being damaged by natural hazards. Where? Usually on top of the mountains, usually in places which are inaccessible. And that could generate eventually a disaster like it happened in Czech Republic, and you have half a billion cubic meters of wood damaged all over the country, in the past 7-8 years. Commission answered, we will not finance illegal logging. That was the official or unofficial explanation, so we missed the opportunity to bring in money, first of all, to build human skills. Because I bring you half a million euros, nice fancy machine, air conditioning, computer connected to the satellite to tell you I've got this 3 GPS location, ting, 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 everything. So what if I don't have somebody to drive it properly? So what? You give me a Formula 1 car. Hopefully I don't kill anyone, but definitely I will destroy the car and kill myself. So it's the same thing in the forest. All these things I mentioned are also windows of opportunities. Because every crisis, between opportunity and between threat or crisis, I always put equal to opportunity. In all these fields that I mentioned before, Romania has mountains to work, mountains of work to do in there. And based on what we have as a resource, I said extremely valuable. If we could somehow start thinking adding more wood on the market, we could in a certain time go down to even utilizing less wood or adding more value, putting the right wood to go into the right place. And we don't talk here about novel bioproducts in Romania. We don't talk because all those components made out of cellulose are totally missing. Our chemical industry is fantastic, sublime, but totally absent, more or less. To quote some famous Romanian writer. That's a big issue, and that's a big opportunity. And not only that, you can do more in the wood products. We can do a lot much better in processing the wood, either mechanically or chemical. We are losing and damaging a lot of wood. Very valuable wood that we just burn, not to mention that. If you take the National Statistics Institute data, Laura can tell exactly how much biomass is being estimated that we are burning annually. 20 million tons, most of which is wood. If you go and say, hey, but you said that you are cutting 20 million cubic meters of wood, and then you say that you are burning 20 million tons of biomass, how much would the wood be? I don't know. I don't want to answer that. The National Statistics Institute has to answer that. They have to, hey, what is this 20 million tons made out of? How much is straw? How much is, I don't know, whatever, manure from farms? How much is wood at the end of the day? And then we have to come up and say openly, hey guys, as a matter of fact, we discover that we are cutting a little bit more. And we should make it white. We should tax it. We should bring it in the economy somehow. Not to mention carbon offsetting, there are some initiatives now in Romania to do this. Not to mention biodiversity conservation. I've been in a few events about biodiversity, and always the discussion is again and again and again going in circles, and we understand all, because we're not stupid, we're part of it. How the heck do we monetize it? So far it hasn't been monetized. Mm-hmm. How do we make this biological treasure something that the local guys protecting it, cherishing it, making it thrive can benefit of? So far, I don't know anyone who has really been able to do it at a big scale. Local communities here, there, we make small thing here, but it's still in process. It's very, very complicated. It's the biggest challenge, I think. And I come back to these two things here. I will mention just a report made by Boston Consulting Group a few years ago, together with FSC guys. Even though FSC guys didn't want to be shown there, as I discussed with them. And they estimated the total value of global forests at the staggering figure of $150 trillion. That's the value of the global forest, estimated by Boston Consulting Group and FSC International. 150 trillion. It's 2 times the size of the stock exchange. Just to understand how valuable this is. And they said there, the report, to find it on the internet, 90% of this value is here. It's not here, it's not here, it's not here, it's here. Yeah. So that's something that made me think a lot. Romania, again, I said about the firewood. No matter what we do, no matter how much we talk about biodiversity, bioeconomy, whatever we try to do, this is the key driver. It has been always the key driver in Romania. It looks like it's going to stay the key driver in Romania. The energy wood. I put here this because it's something that we have very little of. And most of it we export it anyway. Because right now Romania makes about 600,000 tons of pellets, out of which is exported 580, I think. So, prices in Germany for this exceeded 600 euros per ton. So it's who makes this? You can paint it gold, and it is gold. I tell you, the price for this thing made out of sawdust and a little glue is it's like printing money. People making this are in the printing money business right now, all over Europe, all over the world. Demand is staggering. That's why some countries they are introducing energy emergency measures to stop the export of any kind of energy wood. Round, split, pellets, briquettes, whatever. All our neighbors are doing this right now, except in Ukraine, which is unfortunately a different situation to care so much, or too much about it. But Bulgaria is doing it, Serbia is doing it, Hungary is doing it. And unfortunately, we missed some trains 15, 16 years ago when we could have used credits, green credits or whatever they were called at that time, green certificates and stuff like that, to build some CHPs, some combined heat and power plants. And instead of burning, to my knowledge, anything between 10 and 15 million cubic meters, now I said it, 10 to 15 million cubic meters of wood every year in our stoves with 30% efficiency, meaning that if we burned 10, then 3 million really heated the house and 7 million heated the atmosphere. That's what we are doing in terms of sustainability and energy efficiency. Instead of doing that, we preferred to completely overlook the sector, not consider biomass as a source of energy. I discussed it those days, 15, 16 years ago, guys in the Ministry of Economy, Department of Energy, biomass, forget about it. So, now it's 1% of the energy mix, electricity produced in Romania comes from biomass, 1%. Instead of that, we are wasting a lot of wood. We could use 2 million cubic meters, 3 million cubic meters of wood in some plants, and basically duplicate two nuclear reactors. With 2-3 million cubic meters of wood waste, wood from the small cleaning, thinning, very much needed works in the forest, we could make enough energy as 1 or 2 nuclear reactors. We are not there. So, last 2 slides are, what if we could harvest 25 to 35 million cubic meters of wood annually out of a growth of 58 right now? My opinion as a guy specialized in wood harvesting is that even if we decide tomorrow, because like in Romania, I decide and this is approved by the government and I stamp and sign, so it should be done, we can't do it. We will not be able to do it to reach 35 million, maybe in 2035 if we really start working hard on it. I'm not worried about it. But what if we use it a bit differently? Put what is needed for the energy, do the right kind of work at the right time, especially in young stands, do their first thinning properly, give that wood to the energy sector or to these wood panels, structural panels, MDF, OSP, whatever we have in our lives, and in that way enhance the natural growth of forest. We could jump from 58, 60 million to 75 or 80 million cubic meters annual growth annually. Because less trees are using the same resource and more light, grow faster. Especially in Romania, you have dozens of meter deep soil and very rich and very nice climate still. So I wouldn't be worried to go to 25, 35 million cubic meters target for the next 10, 15 years. If it's done, if that wood comes from the right places and harvested sustainably. Sustainability is the key word. If we do it like we do it now, forget about it. Not the way. I said, what if we put some wood into energy? I know, myself, I believe burning wood is a suboptimal solution. Myself, I believe that. It's suboptimal to burn wood when you have every 5 minutes, I think the sun gives enough energy to the planet that the world uses in 1 year. So We just need to find other ways. But until we reach that phase where we are really sustainable and in sync with the planet, we could use some of the other form of sun energy, which is the biomass. Yeah? It's encapsulated differently. Then, I think we still need some investments. Myself, I believe we still need some good investments, not necessarily very big or very small, but just the good and wisely thought in both mechanical and chemical processing of wood, so that we create here the base for using other wood components and products for other sectors. Other sectors meaning textile sector, very strong in Romania, one still strong, and very close to the poshy market of the European Union where people want to change fast, to take a truck from here, from Bucharest. I discussed with the president of the Textile Association Manufacturer of Romania. He said that I'm in the best days of my life. You know why? Not about the price, how much it costs to bring a container from China, because it jumped from $2,000 to $10,000. But because for me to take the clothes to the Milan or to Barcelona fashion fair takes 2 to 3 days. For the Chinese takes 4 to 6 weeks. And the guys there want fast. That's it. We live fast. As I said, we are maybe too fast, but this is it. Romania holds key position geopolitically. If you think where we are located and around us, we have a market of 1 billion people. European Union plus the MENA region, Middle East and Northern Africa, together we can access easily on sea, on land, on air, short distance, 1 billion consumers market. We need to think about it. Maybe that's why a lot of companies come and try to manufacture here, but it's easy to take around. So, what we increase the forest area? Laura was telling that we have 800,000 hectares of former pastures which have been naturally forested because 40 years ago we were doing orchards and agriculture on them. Now people left or got to the
Finland, Germany.
Yeah, whatever, yeah. Example of that. Or the property, that scattered property prevented them from working the land finally. They abandoned it, it became uninteresting economically for them. And we have almost 1 million hectares of something that could be easily considered forest. If we take a photo of satellite photo or 2,000 meters altitude photos, LiDAR, whatever you want to do. If you take that photo, or if you want to, and you take a photo of what is being considered forest in Spain, you say, guys, you are crazy. You have here not forest, you have fantastic forest here. No, we don't even count it as forest. I'm not saying that we do it overnight, because we need to find mechanisms for the people, like Laura said. How do you monetize it? How do you make those people benefit so that they don't cut it? Now we pay them to cut it. Now they get paid to destroy it. Then, I believe strongly that we can have at least 1 million hectares forests in protected natural parks, national parks, anyway, very important, in my mind, connected areas. But it's very important. If you bring 2 brown bears here in Vanessa forest, and you tell them to do nicely how to live together, they can't, because they will eliminate each other. There will be an alpha male and a beta male, and they don't go together. Those areas, if we don't connect, if we don't think big time, if we don't take a bird's view look over the country, and if you box here, I can tell you only one thing. I believe we can have this also. And also harvest more, harvest sustainably, use more wood sustainably, increase the wealth of the rural areas, which are critical. I don't know a single country in the world, and please correct me if somebody can give me an example, a country where people are poor and nature does well. If you tell me the countries where people are poor, communities are poor, their basic needs are not met, those are the Maslow pyramid, a very criticized model, but still, if those basic needs are not met, tell me those people can go in the tip of the pyramid and start to conceptualize about offsetting cardboard. My grandkids will need to also enjoy some honey from here, maybe by some bees going. Those guys have to survive the day. I believe we could really unleash or unlock the potential of Romanian bioeconomy. It's our decision what to move, where to move. We can move. The worst, I mean, we are here. When I was using this code, I was thinking, okay, so people are there, so we can move here, here. I'm afraid we are moving it this way. So three-dimensional, I said, try to get perspective. This is a three-dimensional photo, forcing you into a thinking up or down. It can be also this, or that way, I don't know. Or somebody maybe take the whole thing in the hand and that's it. I believe we have a fantastic potential in Romania, and we are not aware of it the same way as we are not aware of the wood in our lives, in everything that we touch. Thanks a lot.